Hi everyone, so today's video is going to be another video for Disability Pride Month. This time it's going to be my favorite books with disability representation. So yeah, I'm going to film this as fast as I can once again because I really don't feel well. I have a really bad headache today. It's the reason why I'm not speaking very loudly. Hopefully I can fix that a bit with editing. But yeah, also because my camera's acting very weird. I really hope it's filming right now because it keeps stopping and not giving me like any noise to indicate that it stopped. So I'll keep filming and nothing is being filmed, which is obviously really frustrating because obviously I miss footage then and I can't refilm it because I just don't have the energy, but also because like I don't know why it's happening and it's making me like really unmotivated to keep filming. So yeah, I really hope that it stops doing that and it just keeps filming when I need it to film. So yeah, I hope this is filming. I can't tell because again my phone is not facing towards me, it's facing with the back towards me so it can actually film me. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into all of the books so I can finish this video as fast as I can because again I don't feel well. So yeah, so the first book is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Now this book is very popular, it's very well known. It also has disability representation, specifically fibromyalgia and just like chronic pain in general. I think a lot of this author's books actually have disability representation because the author themselves is disabled. So yeah, if you really like romance books and you want some romance books with disability representation, I highly recommend this author. The romances that they write are quite spicy. That's the only thing that I really don't like about her books, which that's not me saying I don't like them, that's just me and my personal preference for not liking spicy stuff. But yeah, I really recommend this as like a spicy romance with good disability representation. So yeah, then next we have A Kind of Spark. Now I'm not going to talk very long about this book because anyone that has watched any of my videos basically knows how much I like this book and how much I talk about it. But basically it has autism representation and it's a middle grade, and it's just one of those books that I wish I had when I was a kid because I feel like it would have made me feel seen, I guess, even though I wasn't diagnosed until I was like an adult. But I feel like it still would have made me feel seen considering I see myself in the character, not a lot because I was very different as a kid, but yeah, it still would have made me feel like validated. So yeah, I highly recommend this as like a middle grade with autism representation that's very fast to read because it's quite short. It also is sad at times and very hard hitting, but it's not too bad because obviously kids can still read it. So yeah, then next is a book that I'm pretty sure everyone knows about, but I'm still going to mention it because obviously it has disability representation and my channel name is literally based on one of the disabled characters in this book. So obviously I have to mention it, and that is The Six of Crows duology. Now it's been quite a while since I've taken this off my shelf. As you can maybe see, I read this before I started annotating my book, so I really want to reread it and see if I still love it as much as I loved it back then. But basically, obviously, this has disability representation. This has a cane user, just like me, which is obviously why my channel name is like that. But yeah, the person who uses the cane also has chronic pain, and then there's also a dyslexic character in it, which I'm also dyslexic. So yeah, a lot of representation in this book. It's a fantasy series, which I don't really read fantasy series a lot, but I actually managed to read this one, which obviously that in itself should already tell you that this series is quite easy to get through. It's only 2 books, it's a duology. So yeah, has disability representation, highly recommend it if you haven't read it yet, which I highly doubt. And I obviously need to reread it so I can annotate it properly. So yeah, then next we have the only manga on this list, and that is Asylum Voice. There are other mangas out there with disability representation, but most of them aren't that great. This one also isn't too great, but I feel like I still had to mention at least one manga that I have read and liked. So I'm mentioning this one. This is Asylum Voice. There's also a anime about this, a movie, I'm pretty sure. I think I actually like the movie better. I haven't fully read this series because I do own it fully in like a box. But I think I like the movie better just because I feel like it hits a bit harder. So yeah, this has a deaf character. I feel like I haven't mentioned that yet. But again, my headache is kind of like making my head kind of hurt. So I can't really think. Which obviously your head would hurt if you have a headache. That's literally what it's called. But again, my brain doesn't work, okay? But yeah, this has a deaf character. This also has like mental illness as a representation. So yeah, I recommend it as like a manga with disability representation. I've seen people say that the representation isn't great, which I understand because I know it isn't that good, but I feel like I still had to mention at least one. So this is gonna be it. Like, I don't know any other mangas with good disability representation, so yeah. Getting up to see whether the camera's still filming like every 5 minutes is getting really painful. So I'm just gonna talk about these last books as fast as I can. So yeah, I'm really sorry if that's annoying. I really wanted to make these like Disability Pride Month videos really good, but I just can't because of my disabilities, which kind of ironic when you think about it. But yeah, let me just talk about the next book. The next book is Queens of Geek. Now, this book I've also talked about before in my like LGBT plus recommendations video because it has LGBT plus like people in it, and it also has disability representations, specifically autism and anxiety, which as a very anxiety filled autistic person, obviously I really like that representation. But yeah, it's a really fast-paced book, even though it is big, like not in the sense of this, but in the sense of this. It's quite big, but yeah, it's very easy to get through. Again, has representation, that's why it's in this video. Don't want to talk about it for much longer, I'm really sorry, but I'm in pain. So yeah, the next book is a little bit different than the other books on this list, other than like the manga, and that is because it's purely informational and it doesn't really have any like specific representation in it, or maybe it does and I just don't remember it. But that is Disfigured. This is basically just a book about how a disability is often used as a punishment in fairy tales and how it's only seen in like a very negative light, and how you grow up as a child with those stories, whether you're at that point already disabled or not. It is gonna like impact you, and if you're already like disabled, when you read it you obviously feel very bad about it and you feel bad about your entire existence. But if you are someone who becomes disabled later in life or is already disabled, like me for example, who was already disabled at a young age but I just didn't realize it, it will make you feel very bad how some of the things that are given as a punishment are things that you yourself experience. So yeah, it's very informational. I really liked it. Again, it doesn't really have specific disability representation, but I still felt like I needed to put like one informational book on here. So yeah, I highly recommend it if you're like interested in that topic of like disability in fairy tales. So yeah. Then next we have a very popular book that I'm sure a lot of people have heard about and have heard about like the disability representation in it, and that is Wonder. This also has a movie, I'm pretty sure. I haven't watched it. But yeah, for disability representation, this has a facial difference as the disability. I don't know if that's the official term because I couldn't do enough like research on this because again, my head has been hurting a lot these days and I can't like look at a screen for long enough to really like look into it. But this used to be a book that I really enjoyed. I gave it like 5 stars in 2018, which you have to remember that I only became like very obviously disabled, so much so that I realized it in 2019. So I read this before I was technically disabled, like I was already disabled, but I just didn't realize it. So this might be a book that has ableist things in it and I just didn't realize it, because while I had some idea of ableism, I didn't have as much knowledge as I do now. So I might hate this now if I reread it, but I checked some of the reviews that were also given by like disabled readers seem to still like it. They don't seem to love it as much as abled people do, but they still seem to like it. So yeah, maybe it's still good. I have no idea. Might reread it someday, but yeah, we'll see, I guess. Then the next book is Convenience Store Woman. Now this has autism representation. I know that not a lot of people talk about the autism representation in this book, but just because it isn't specifically mentioned that the character is autistic doesn't mean that they're not autistic. They are. They very clearly are. Like almost every single autistic person is saying that. And the only ones who are just calling the main character like quirky and weird are the non-autistic people. So yeah, just believe us when we say the main character in this is autistic. This has autism representation. I also still need to grab a copy of this because I haven't been able to find a cheap one. So yeah, autism representation. Then next we have Love from A to Z. This has multiple sclerosis as disability representation. I'm not sure if I pronounced that well because again, I can't really think straight. But yeah, disability representation. It also has a lot of other representation. It's quite good. I didn't like love it. Like I didn't give all of these books like 5 stars, but I did like them. But yeah, this book is quite good. I recommend it. Not going to talk about it more because again, I really want to stop filming. So yeah. Then we have the last book on this list that is a book that I've actually read. I will also mention some other books that I haven't read yet, but this is the last one that I have read, and that is Show Us Who You Are. Now this is by the same author as A Kind of Spark, which I mentioned earlier. This also has autism representation as well as ADHD representation this time. It is a middle grade, and it is a middle grade that talks about very intense subjects but still does it in a very like middle grade way, which I don't know if I explained that well, but basically it talks about eugenics, which is obviously a very intense topic, especially when you have your main characters be disabled. So yeah, to explain that in a very like middle grade way so that like kids can understand it, I really like that. I really like that like the youth is gonna like learn about eugenics, which seems like a weird thing to say, but like I feel like that's knowledge that kids should have because a lot of adults don't even have it. So the fact that like kids are reading about it is very important. So yeah, I highly recommend it as like a middle grade with autism and ADHD representation. So yeah, also you will probably cry at this book as well as with A Kind of Spark, but this one more. So yeah. So now, like I already said, I'm going to get into the books that are on my TBR that have disability representation. So I haven't read these yet, so I can't tell you whether it actually has disability representation or whether it's actually good or not. But the first one on that list is Iron Widow. Now, I was really excited for this book just for the book itself, and then I heard some people say that it had disability representation. Other people didn't mention it. So I'm not 100% sure whether it actually has it or it does have it and abled people are just not realizing it. So yeah, I don't know what kind of representation this has. I heard some people say like someone who uses a cane, which if that's true, as someone who also uses a cane, obviously I'm very excited about that. So yeah, this is a fantasy book if you couldn't already tell from the cover. So yeah, I'm gonna struggle my way through this book probably because I don't read fantasy very well. But if it has disability representation, I'm sure that I will fight my way through it because I want to know if it's good or not. So yeah, then the next book is Sick Kids in Love. Now, I've heard a lot of disabled people talk about how good the representation is and how good the book actually is. So yeah, it has arthritis representation and something else that I cannot pronounce, which that's actually mentioned in the synopsis, that it's like a disease that people can't pronounce. Again, I heard that this book was very good from multiple disabled people, so hopefully it's actually good. Haven't read it because I can't find it anywhere in like a paperback, and I basically only read paperbacks, so yeah. Then next we have 7 Days in June. I actually own this book with an ebook, and I actually wanted to read it this month in June because as I film this it's still June, but yeah, I wasn't able to because I can't really look at my e-reader for too long because of my headaches, which is very ironic considering that the disability representation is, I'm pretty sure, is migraines and like chronic migraines. So yeah, I don't know what other representation has. I don't even know if the migraine stuff is the actual representation. I just saw someone say that, so I might be wrong. But yeah, this seems like a very interesting book. I really want to read it, just not this month. So yeah. Then next we have Like a Charm. I actually want to read this in July, so I might have already read it by the time this video goes up. But yeah, this has dyspraxia representation, which I also have dyspraxia. So I'm very excited to read this. This is by the same author as A Kind of Spark and Shows Who You Are. So all three of their books that are out now at this point have disability representation, which is obviously very exciting. But yeah, this has dyspraxia representation. It's kind of like fantasy-ish, I think, but it's still a middle grade, so I should be able to read it fairly quickly. So yeah. So then we are finally at the last book on this list, which is very good because I really want to stop filming. As you can also tell, my voice is kind of giving out, which is not fun, but I can cough to make it better because one, that won't help, and two, that will only make my headache worse. So yeah, I'm determined to finish this video and I'm almost done. So yeah. The last book. So the last book is a book actually that my mom is gonna buy for me, and she's gonna bring it with her when she comes to visit in July. So maybe by the time that this video gets uploaded I will already have it, and that is You, Me, and Our Heartstrings. This has cerebral palsy representation, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, and anxiety representation. So I'm very excited to read this. I can't wait to see what I think of it. It seems like a very good book. I'm very excited for it. Can't talk about it more because again, I really want to stop filming. I don't even know at this point if I'm still going to be able to go to physical therapy in like a couple hours because I just don't feel well. Not just like physically but also mentally, like I'm just done with everything. So I might just not go and cancel, so yeah, that's fun. So I hope that despite the gigantic mess that is this video, you still enjoyed it and you still got some like recommendations for books. I really tried my best to push myself through this video, but yeah, it's not going well. I still do technically have time to film a third video, but I just don't have the energy, which is really upsetting. But yeah, I can't do much about it. You know, my health do be bad sometimes. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm really grateful if you watched until the end because recently my videos have been doing very badly and it's making me very like unmotivated to film. And last time I set this on camera was like 30 minutes or so ago when I filmed the first video that I filmed today, and my camera just cut all of that out. So maybe this will be cut out as well, who knows? So yeah, maybe my camera is just also not supporting my channel. So yeah, I still really appreciate it if you guys like watch this video. Again, I hope you got some like good recommendations from this video. And yeah, thank you for watching and bye.